Hi there, Sandra here from the Schwoven's Nest. Thanks for joining me today. Welcome to my Christmas series. This first project is working with this twig wreath that I picked up at Dollarama. It was $4, a little bit on the pricey side for what it looks like. I don't think it's very pretty. Anyhow, I'm going to do something really great with it. I bought it because I needed a twig wreath for the order for my customer. So what I'm going to do is take some white flat spray paint. I always use the Rust-Oleum brand, and I'm going to give it quite a few coats of the white just to get rid of all of that brown look. The wreath that I'm going to create has some cedar branches in it, and I'll show you my inspiration here in a sec. I'm going to go ahead and give these a light coating of the white spray paint as well. I do want a little bit of that green to show through, just to give these a little bit of a frosted look. I found these cedar stems on Amazon, so I'll have the link down in my description box for you. Once the back of the wreath was dry, I flipped it over and gave the front a really good coat as well, making sure I got in the inside, and then later I'm going to pick up the wreath and kind of get in between the branches as well. Here's the inspiration piece. It's $150 at Wayfair, so I know I can definitely make this for less. I really enjoy working with twig wreaths and with those willow wreaths that you can get, also the grapevine wreaths, because you can just poke the stems that you're adding right inside and there's minimal hot glue that is needed. So what I'm going to do is just take these stems and I'm going to work my way around in a circle, making sure that they're all in the same direction. And I'm just going to bend the end of the wire and then poke it into the twig wreath and then fix up the stem the way I want it to look. For this first layer of picks, I'm just going to leave a little bit of twig space in between, and you'll see me pick things up and take a look at it a lot because I want to make sure that it's all evenly spaced. For the second row, I'm going to be putting the picks in the gaps in between the other ones I already put in there, but I'm going to be leaving these out about 3 to 4 inches longer. I want this wreath to be about 24 to 26 inches wide, so each row of cedar picks that I put in is going to stick out a little bit further. If this is your first time visiting my channel, thank you so much for popping in. I really do appreciate it, and I would love it if you could hit that red subscribe button. That supports my channel and helps me grow. For the third layer, I'm going to go underneath the first two layers and push the cedar stems into the side part of that willow wreath. That's going to give me a lot more dimension and make the wreath look nice and full. The next step is to add a little bit more texture using these twigs that I grabbed from my backyard. I also spray painted them white. And what I'm going to be doing is putting a couple of them in where you see the gaps from the cedar stems, and that's just going to fill it in and give it lots more texture as well. I love using red pip berries for Christmas decor, so I grabbed these that were from Dollarama. I believe they were $3 a bunch, and I'm going to just start pulling them apart. They are all wired, so I'll easily be able to just push them right into the twig wreath as well. This first layer is going to go underneath some of the cedar branches, so you can kind of just see a little bit peeking out. Then I'm going to be adding some more to the top, and then I'm going to finish it off with some larger berries as well. I decided to take one strand of pipberry and wind it onto each of the little white twigs. That would give them a little bit more dimension as well, and it would look like the berries actually grew off the twigs. So I'm going to wind the wire down at the bottom and then add a little bit of hot glue just to keep the berries in place. I grabbed a whole bunch of larger size berries from Dollarama. These are the biggest size. I'm just going to put a little bit of hot glue on the wired stem and then push those right into the greenery and the stems wherever I feel the need for some berries. I also added a few of the larger berries to some of the wood twigs. That just gave them a little bit more dimension. I really am loving how this is turning out. As I was adding some of the larger berries, I decided to pull up some of the strands from the berries underneath that I first tucked in just to give the wreath a little bit more color and more dimension. I really love how this wreath turned out, and my customer absolutely adored it. This project is using some old deck boards that I picked up from a neighbor down the street who was redoing their deck. I cut these down to the sizes I needed to make a box. So I'm just going to sand down some of the rough edges, and then I'm going to start assembling it. These pieces of wood are pretty soft, so I don't need to pre-drill, but I am just going to start my screws in each section first before I actually put the box together. This just helps give me a little bit more control of where the screw is going to end up. The box is totally put together, and now I'm just going to give it one rough coat of my white DIY chalk paint, which is latex paint and some talc. I've got that recipe down in my description box way down at the bottom with a couple of links for talc if you're interested. I'm just going to do all of the sides. I'm not going to bother with the bottom, but I am going to go in the inside about a couple of inches down just to make sure that you can't see any of the wood. Using my Cricut Joy, I cut out my own stencil. I use plastic poster board and I do my design in the Cricut design space, and then I take it to my Cricut Joy and run it twice. So I let the Joy do its cutting one time, and then instead of unloading it, I hit rerun and it cuts it one more time. Makes it super easy just to pop out all of the letters. I've got two stencils. One says Merry and this one says Christmas. I'm going to use my makeup sponge and a black acrylic paint to just stencil it in. I'm going to go fairly heavy with it, but I'm pouncing really slow up and down because I don't want anything to bleed. As usual, you'll find this Merry Christmas sign on my website as a free printable. Using a dry brush and some of the black acrylic paint, I'm going to go over the Merry Christmas box. I'm going to flick up the edges. That's my favorite way of getting some texture on the edges. And then I'm just going to go through it and dry brush all along until I get the look I want. Nothing too heavy, but I do want you to be able to see that dry brushing. Once the letters were dry, I just used a regular Sharpie marker and I'm just doing a shadow line to the left of each of the letters. I like to do this because it makes it look more like a stencil. It also just gives the letters a little bit more dimension. I just love Sola wood flowers and I haven't used them for a little bit. So in this arrangement, I've decided to dye a few of the flowers red. So I've got about an inch of water in this jar. You want to have a deeper jar so you'll be able to kind of dunk your flower in it. I've got a nice teaspoon of my red chalk paint and I'm just going to shake it around until it's mixed up well. Using a bamboo skewer, I'm just going to push it very gently into the bottom of the flower and then dip it into the paint. Now you want to make sure that you have a fairly wide mouth jar. This is a Tostitos salsa jar. It's the perfect size for dyeing these larger flowers. Dip it in, just let it drip off a little bit and check out that beautiful vibrant color that you can get with these flowers. If you're interested in taking a look a little bit more, I have a link down in my description box. Feel free to go and check them out. You can purchase some dyed flowers already, or you can purchase a whole bunch of skinned ones or skinless ones that are the natural color and dye them yourself. They always have really awesome sales on the Sola flowers, so make sure you check out their website. I'm going to leave the bamboo skewers on the florals, and what I'm going to do is just take some of this floral tape that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. It's this stretchy, sticky tape, and what you can do is start wrapping it around the very top, and then you're just going to spin that bamboo skewer all the way around, kind of pulling the tape down at the same time, and then you'll get it covered with green. It's a really inexpensive way to be able to just camouflage that bamboo skewer. I've added some just regular styrofoam to the bottom of this crate. I've pushed it in so it's nice and snug. And this is a piece of garland that I got at the thrift store. I fluffed it out really nicely. And now I'm just taking some floral wire and bending it into a U shape to hook it into the garland and push it down into the styrofoam, and that will hold it in place. I'm going to start adding some different types of pine greenery. I got these fat ones from Dollarama last year. Unfortunately, they don't have any of them this year, so I've been looking to Amazon for a lot of my greenery this year. I will have links to whatever I'm using down in the description box. If I don't have enough stems for my greenery, because I tend to pull it apart and work with individual pieces, I just use some of that floral wire, which is really nice and thick, add some hot glue to the bottom of my little pick, and then push that little wire in and set it aside to dry. Now that I've got this greenery all in place, I'm going to be working with the Sola wood flowers. Look at how pretty they are. They turned out so beautiful. I'm going to put this one in the center, fairly on the tall side, so it has sort of a peak. And then the two other ones are going to go on either side. However, I don't like things to be symmetrical, so I'm going to be pushing one of the flowers a little bit lower down than the other. These other little pine picks are also from Amazon. I found them last year from DIY Beauty on purpose. Leah Knepp had ordered them and I grabbed some last year. I just love them. I actually purchased another bag for this year's Christmas decor. Again, link is down in my description box. I've got 3 different links in there, so you'll have to just kind of take a look at them and figure out which is which. But these I called the short needle pine picks. I'm wiring them together 2 at a time, and then I'm just going to place them in my arrangement just as some filler pieces. I also decided to add some lighter greenery. This is some boxwood that has like a frosted look to it, almost like lavender, and I wanted to add that just to give this arrangement a little bit more texture and brightness. Now I'm just taking my Dollar Tree stencil brush and I'm pouncing it on top of some of the greenery to give it a little bit of a snow-kissed look. As you can see, I also added some berry sprigs. I also put in some of the pipberry sprigs as well, and I think it turned out beautiful. I'm really pleased with it, and so is my customer. I get a lot of questions on how to access my free printables, so I thought I would give you all a tutorial. Once you've logged in, you can get to anything you want to see. I'm going to click on the free printables right now and take you through that. You can see that I have instructions available for you here. You're going to scroll down and you'll see all sorts of different available options for you. Right now, I'm working on the Christmas Printables 2021. So if you want to see all of those, you just click on that folder and it will open up all of the different options that I have available for you. The first thing you're going to want to do is click on the actual image so you can see it. It will open up in a preview. Here it is. Once you're done looking at the preview, just go ahead and click that tab, close it down. If you want to download, click on the little button and then you will be able to click on the download button and your printable will show up in the downloads folder of your computer. Thank you so much for watching my video today. If you liked it, I would love for you to give me a thumbs up. That tells YouTube that you like what you see and they promote me more, which helps my channel grow. Also, make sure you hit that notification bell. I've got lots more in store for you. Bye for now.